gender-based violence. Women with at least a secondary level education are not as likely as their less educated peers to experience violence. Education has the power to save and improve the lives of women and girls, which leads to healthier families and stronger communities. While South African schools have a manual how to address gender-based violence, I bet many educators never knew that. Well, the South African schools have a gender-based violence manual, and this is where people can refer to. The school-based manual is intended to assist teachers, parents, and learners and all stakeholders in reducing or eliminating such cases of discrimination and violence. It is a professional development tool that, should be used by school management teams and by school governing bodies to understand the basis for such actions and, growth, and develop strategies and approaches which can assist in managing such unacceptable behaviors. Communities can engage in the following 4 strategies to protect gender-based violence in their, protest gender-based communities. They can establish safe spaces and support services, engage men and boys, and strengthen, the legal framework and law enforcement. As a community and as a schools, we need to stand together. Come SBV, that's gender-based violence in schools. It includes physical violence, bullying, verbal or sexual harassment, non-consensual touching, sexual assault, and even rape. Well, our guest who we will be linking up today is Lorraine Algasen. She wears many caps. She will introduce herself to you. Hello, Lorraine.
Hi, greetings to you, Sumaya, and to our listeners. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, in your busy day for linking up with us. Can you introduce yourself to our listeners, all the caps that you wear?
Sumaya, it's not... As a matter of fact, it's not new to the Department of Education and the communities, the law enforcement that I work with. Because we extend the work beyond Chatsworth and all the other areas. So the organization called Advocate for Change, we cover many topics and we are quite diverse in what we do. So hailing from being a fashion designer and then, a candidate for Action SA, I was nominated as one of 25 women for serving the nation. In 2020, last year, I've got an honorary award. And this year, we got nominated to feature in Unsung Heroes for the work that we do in the community. So we cover practically any issue in the community, from landlords to tenants to sexual harassment, gender-based violence in schools, bullying, practically any topic. So we're currently working with immigration and asylum seekers that needs to renew their permits, and medical issues, practically just about every issue that the community is facing. But one of our primary concerns right now is actually the schools. Our schools are in a complete mess to regard with gender-based violence. As you may know, that I'm very, very I have a zero tolerance for GBV, and most of the time I spend with, victims of gender-based violence. And when I do attend courts, I do see a lot of learners in court, either opening up, taking out a protection order, or they are there for their court hearings because they open up charges regarding the issues that they are facing in school, because there is no solution that the Department of Education has found for these learners. So these learners have been resorting to alternate, what's the word? Relief for the issues that they are currently facing. So, you know what, the problem is large. It's actually is on the increase, with 4,913 women murdered last year. And then we had 53,000 women that were assaulted and 57,000 that was actually sexually assaulted. So the increase, it's just increasing by the day and by the numbers, with 11 women, murdered a day in South Africa, 122.
So these are the only ones,
as I said, it's just increasing.
Yeah, these are the only cases which have been reported. There's cases which haven't been reported and no one knows about.
Yes.
Okay, that's a hell of a lot. Lorraine, a lot of people belonging to affluent communities, ex-Model-C, private schools, parents are professionals, middle income and above. They think that SBV, doesn't affect them. It only got to do with rape, sexual harassment, discrimination like that. But you mentioned something when we were chatting off air. Online sexual harassment and a lot of other things which we will touch. And I think our listeners, especially parents and educators, need to be aware of this. Sometimes the way society is going and the world's going, lots of us just decide to, it's not my monkey, so it's not my circus, or, it doesn't concern me, so I'm not involving myself. And they continue, when they come across any SB violence or something. So what advice do you have for anyone, whether it's a teacher, a parent, a neighbor, or a member in a community who knows of SBV, violence happening? You as a bystander, what can you do?
As a matter of fact, in terms of bystanders' engagement pertaining schools, if we are speaking on a topic related to school issues, well, there are different types of intervention when it comes to working with schools, And one of the things that should be applied in the school is a bystander intervention, which is delicate. It's actually the 5 Ds. It's a delicate, distract, document, delay, and direct. So different protocols and procedures pertaining how these need to be implemented in the school. So in terms of, that is one aspect. So when it comes to the organization itself, like the NPOs, the NGOs, and the PBOs, there is a document in court which is called Form 6, whereby we have now taken over matters and we have now processed cases, whereby we don't need the permission from the victim. We can actually take over a matter, and we've actually done that. We've taken over matters and we've reported that. I've worked with FCS and also the Child Protection Unit, whereby I've encountered children in primary school that were sexually violated, and the parents did not want to open up a charge because of discrimination and a whole lot of stuff. But we have taken over the matter, and the matter is under investigation, and we work very closely with SAPS. In terms of public, if they know of somebody being abused, whether it's a male or female, let's not, deviate from the fact is that men are also, excluded from gender-based violence. A lot of men they actually go through GBV, but it goes unreported, because we have taught men not to cry because we've called them sissies. We need to break that and change the narrative. So moving forward, I would say that in terms of, if public is aware of somebody being abused, they can contact the local authorities. There are hotline numbers that they can connect and they can remain anonymous. They don't really need to divulge who they are. But if there is somebody that's being abused, the onus is on you to report that.
Sister Lorraine, what can educators do regarding GBV?
Well, Sumaya, currently the problem that we're having right now, last week we had 8 cases of gender-based violence reported to our organization. And what we've done is we counseled the parents and we requested how they need to engage with the school. Okay, so in terms of the teachers working with these kids, I believe that not enough has been done in order for them to implement strategies in the school regarding, protocols and procedures. When I've spoken to a lot of kids that I work with, and I've asked them, tell me, are you familiar with the school code of conduct? And these kids don't even know the school code of conduct. That is why, in terms of these kids need to be educated regarding the school code of conduct. As you just mentioned earlier on, there is a gender-based violence kit that's available to the schools, but it's not being implemented. So why do we have such a high volume of GBV in the schools? You see, so in terms of education, the education department and the educators, they need to implement these protocols and procedures in school. They need to teach these kids. And in terms of the National Safety Act, when I've been through the National Safety Act, I've taken note in clause 17. It states that the schools need to work with SAPs, they need to work with the NPOs, NGOs, and PBOs, but many of the schools don't want to do that. They refuse to work with these schools. I mean, this is why the civic associations are there, the CPFs are there, the NGOs, the NPOs, the PBOs, all of them are there. You cannot work solo regarding the issues that are ongoing in school.
Yeah. You know,
I'll give you an example. I was attending to a matter regarding one of the local schools. Okay. And I'm not going to mention the schools. And what happened was there was a female that was assaulted. She was assaulted by a group of learners. However, I contacted the school and I put in a letter. I requested to speak to the school governing body. And I did have a meeting with him, but the headmaster didn't want to meet with me. And I couldn't understand why. Thereafter, we requested a tribunal. There was a tribunal and the offenders were there. And thereafter, the school didn't take any action. They did not take any action. I obtained 5 protection orders from Chatsworth Court and had given it to the kid. She filled in the protection orders and the matter is now sitting in court at the moment. Okay. Prior to this incident, the very same learner, in the beginning of the year, she faced cyberbullying, whereby her photo was taken and placed it was edited, attached to a naked body and uploaded onto Instagram. And this learner has got 7,000 followers. Okay, the matter went to court. When the matter went to court, the children went into the Necro Diversion Program. Okay, the Necro Diversion Program is an integrated program for offenders. Okay, for marginalized youths that have had a run-in with the law. It's actually, I would say it's more like shifting gears, more taking the kids away from the legal system to prevent them from getting a criminal record. Okay, these kids were now sent into the Necro Diversion Program for 6 weeks, but the victim did not get any justice. Okay. Now, one of the reasons why this particular kid had to go to the courts to seek relief, because there was no strategies, there was no protocols, no procedures put in place by the headmaster, including the educators, including the grade controllers. So there has to be more programs implemented into the schools to protect our learners. Because remember that when the parents are at school, the headmaster is actually the headmaster and the educators. They are the custodians of these kids. And these violence are escalating daily.
Yeah.
So protocols, procedures need to be put in place.
Sister Lorraine, a lot of educators were unaware that there's a school-based manual, dealing with SBV. Because sometimes when you're in a predicament, you don't know what to do. And we as educators, governing body members, stakeholders, we got our own religious beliefs, our own morals, values, and we might not conform or agree with what a department is putting down. So sometimes we just choose to keep quiet or stay away or work around it. That's quite sensitive. So lots of educators don't know. So if there's any principals who are listening, management or even governing body members, it's so important to workshop your educators on gender-based, violence, and that will probably assist the educators to assist the learners, even parents. How can victims respond to GBV or sexual harassment when the stats for teenage pregnancy is on an increase?
In terms of the harassment or the sexual violation, I just want to answer appropriately.
Yeah.
Are you referring to sexual harassment
Sexual
or
harassment.
just gender-based violence?
Sexual harassment.
Okay, so Sumaya, in terms of sexual harassment, right? I would say this is what I always advocate when I speak at public events. I speak to them about the no complaining rule. Okay, I said it's okay. So it's never okay to violate anybody's human rights, right? Okay, but sometimes the situation can be handled with dignity. Okay, instead of escalating the matter to court and so forth, because it's quite unfair for these young kids that are currently under pressure, with peer pressure regarding the matric year, and then they still need to focus on their cases and so forth. Okay, so in terms of the response, and I think this is very important regarding what the schools can implement and how the headmasters and the educators can handle these issues. Well, one of the things that they can implement in the school is the bystander. This is the bystander's effect, that is to bullying, sexual harassment, and prevention. So one of the things, as I said, that's just one of them, right? The other one is the responses, how the learners need to respond to that. Okay, so in terms of taking a signal, this is what I always say: taking a signal and backing off resets the signal, so you don't get charged a penalty if you respect the signal. Because quite obviously, before the sexual harassment starts, there's always a signal.
Yeah.
Because you can pick on it. These are the red flags. So if somebody is attempting to flirt with you and stand close to you and start complimenting your appearance, the best thing for you to do is say, you know what, let's assume a male learner, is telling this to a female, is probably hitting on her, and he tells her that, you look quite nice, or, I'm attracted to you. The learner doesn't really need to take this matter and go to court and turn this into a major issue. All they need to do is just walk away, walk away from that. You don't need to entertain it. You don't have to entertain all of these things. And then also, because these kids need to focus on their schoolwork, right? They are not there in school in order for them to start flirting and start having relationships with these guys, but quite obviously they're going through puberty and a whole lot of stuff. And quite obviously their hormones are all over the place. So when an harasser starts talking to you about sexual harassment, your response should be, if you can't turn off your hormones long enough to have a good conversation, I would re-evaluate our friendship.
Yeah. Sister Lorraine, we'll be taking a short ad break, and then we'll continue.
Okay, sure.
You're listening to School Matters with Sumaya Khan.
Plan your dream holiday with the specialist, World of Travel, as we pride ourselves in offering you the best in Hajj and Umrah. We also offer travel packages to the Middle East, Far East, and many more exotic destinations. Call our professional travel consultants now on 031 20 8877 or view our website www.worldoftravel.co.za. Visit us at 44 Crescent Street as memorable journeys begin with World of Travel by Irshad Malik.
Are you or a loved one battling the disease of addiction? Is your family, life, relationships, work suffering due to alcoholism and substance abuse? Zensai Treatment, Recovery and Wellness Center are addiction specialists offering specialized psychotherapy and naltrexone therapy to help overcome addiction. Zensai offers hotel-style facilities to allow your loved ones to regain their dignity and overcome alcoholism and drug abuse in the most comfortable setting possible. Fight addiction. Call Zensai Treatment, Recovery and Wellness Center, the addiction recovery specialist, on 031 563 0751.
Transform your winter with Fit Deli's brand new menu. We've got warm and satisfying tandoori chicken bowls, refreshing blueberry and pineapple smoothies, plus delicious grilled king clip and more. Fit Deli, healthy gourmet prepared meals made freshly for your convenience. Dive into a world of fresh, nutritious delights. Guilt-free snacks and vibrant produce await. Visit us at Greenpoint in Cape Town, the Pavilion Shopping Centre in Durban, or our Kawi Road store in Durban. Fit Deli, where good taste meets good health. Elevate your health journey today and live happy.
Welcome to Simplex Radio. Visit our showroom for the full range of car audio. Our TV department carries top brands with quality LED panels, full HD to Ultra HD, and now the experience of Super Ultra HD. Visit our theater rooms and transform your home with brands like Onkyo, Integra, Denon, Boston Acoustics, Yamaha, and more for quality audio visual experience. Now available, full range of home appliances. A one-stop shopping experience. Call 031 306 4029 or Kenilworth Park, 202 Brickfield Road, Overport. Simplex Radio, the name you can trust.
Education's purpose is to replace an empty mind with an opened one.
Join Sumaya Khan every Tuesdays between 7 and 8 p.m. for an educational evening exclusive to Radio Al-Ansar.
Your education is a dress rehearsal for a life that is yours to lead.
School Matters with Sumaya Khan.
Still the whole world could.
You're listening to School Matters with Sumaya Khan.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to School Matters. Yes, we have a really interesting, thought-provoking, one will sit back and think topic, gender-based violence. It also happens in our school. It's not a particular race, a particular culture, a particular, influential or not influential person or people or community. It can happen to anyone. This is why we as parents, educators need to know what are our rights and what we can do to assist one. For educators who just tuned in or the listener, do you know that school-based manual is there? The South African School Acts and the South African schools, they have a manual based on gender-based violence. So you should probably find out about that there from your management and kind of peruse to it or, and do a little workshop. This is so important. Lots of educators, I'm actually getting messages coming onto my phone that they never even know that this manual existed. Well, our guest who we're linking up is Lorraine Algasen. She is an advocate for gender-based violence and always assisting learners in court, ensuring that justice and fairness and takes place. Lorraine, we are back on. Going to bullying. How does it start, bullying, especially with the manipulation? Can you tell us how does that occur, bullying and manipulation?
Well, Sumaya, gender-based violence actually starts with bullying, okay? So generally bullying, there's some of the factors that's contributing towards bullying, whereby it's low self-esteem, okay? The other one is like poverty. A lot of kids are coming out of impoverished homes and impoverished areas. And then it is popularity among the opposite sex. Yeah. Okay. And then it's also, there's more like, cyberbullying, it's lifestyle. It's a whole lot of stuff, it's filtering of photos. All of these contribute towards bullying, So as I said, gender-based violence stems up from there.
Yeah. Do you know? And sorry, you can continue.
Okay, so low self-esteem. It's more emotional, psychological, and it's physical when it comes to low self-esteem. And then when you look at popularity, you see like some of them are popular among their friends, and then it's because of their name brands, their dressing, it's a personal grooming, their lifestyle, hygiene. It's a whole lot of stuff when it comes to poverty, because some of the kids can afford that lifestyle, and there's some of the kids that cannot afford that lifestyle. So when it comes to popularity and poverty and so forth, you find that some of the kids can afford it because you'd go to school with your nails done, they'll go to school with your braids, they'll go to school with their eyelash. Some of the kids are using eyelash to school, or maybe straightening their hair. And there was a time when we were in school, our hair used to be plaited. Now when you look at the learners have got all different hairstyles. Their hairstyles are all straightened. And so when you look at some of the kids that are coming out of impoverished homes, you'll find that, you can afford to look good for school. You can afford to wear name brands. I can afford to have that. So that's all contributing factors towards bullying.
Yeah.
It's a change of lifestyle.
You touched on online cyberbullying. Well, 99% of our learners, I will practically say from grade R going right into tertiary, are always online. If you're a parent, if you have a nephew, niece, or just someone involved in education, you'll notice that the phone is a babysitter, the phone is an entertainment, they're on social media constantly. We don't even know who our children are chatting to or what's going on. And the learners are so advanced today, and also they very I wouldn't say mature. When I mean advanced, what we did when we were 12, they're probably doing it when they are 8. So what advice you have for parents, especially, who your child is chatting to, what's going on,
Sumaya, you remember the last time when we did the interview, we spoke about sexual education at school, and some of the parents had an issue about sex being taught in school. But yet it's okay for the parent to put a cell phone in a child's hand, and that same child can visit a porn site. Now, when a child has got access to a cell phone and is using Google, they can get into a dark web. In the dark web is where all these pornographies go on, illegal stuff goes on. I mean, kids are not being monitored. There's a lot of kids that are actually talking to people on social media, right? They don't know who's on the other end of it. We had an incident last year whereby there was a guy from Newcastle that came all the way into the Chatsworth area. He befriended this girl on Facebook, came into the Chatsworth area, became friends with the parent, and abducted this girl and had taken her away to Newcastle. We engaged with the parents, got a charge open, got the girl back home. But when the girl came back home, she came back pregnant. Okay, and this guy just disappeared. So in terms of parents need to monitor the kids. They need to monitor the kids. And the last time when we chatted, we did speak about 97% of the young children in porn sites. So the power lies in the parents' hands. Yeah. It's lying in the parents' hands. There is so much that the educators can do, right? They are there to fulfill the curriculum, to make sure that these kids get good marks, and their grades goes into the SAM system, whereby these kids are constantly monitored and so forth. I mean, how much can the Department of Education do in terms of monitoring the kids? So the parents need to, put rules and regulations in place. These young kids should not be in possession of their cell phones when they've got their matric to finish. They've got their tertiary educations to complete.
Going to... Yeah. Sorry, you may continue.
I said the parents play a big part in this, and the parents, they can find an alternate solution whereby they can work with the PTA. It's a Parents and Teachers Association. They can form such an organization and start working with the parents. And working with the educators.
Talking about the offender, what about the offender? What can he do or she to prevent discrimination, for his or her deeds?
Sumaya, when I do public presentation, and I always bring that topic up, and one of the reasons why I bring that topic up is because there has to be an accountability for your actions. Okay, so the power that you had enabled for you to do that type of a crap, it's the same power that you can use to actually stop that. Okay, so if you're a man or a woman who has been ousted by sexual harassment, okay, there is a path forward past denial, scandal, shame, where and you're a person who has, gone through that. If you have gone through that, and now you've got a stigma attached to yourself. Okay, so these are some of the steps that you can take forward. You can move forward in order for you to resolve that conflict, and make right. You can make right. Everybody makes mistakes in life. And the thing is, if you've actually done that, so you have that ability to make right and to, correct yourself. So stop calling your victim a liar and don't stand with them further. Don't ignore them. Don't try to intimidate them. Don't get your buddies to vouch for you or anyone else. And don't let the victim carry the hurt alone. Be apologetic. Show sympathy, accept responsibility, for your actions. And, don't wait for the victim to report the matter. Come clean and go first to your principal and, meet with the parents. You're never too small to say you're sorry, because there's no other word beyond sorry. And then, you also can protect your personal identity and your personal details in the moment of your incidents, which may cause you more harm. And don't wait to be accused. Put it right, make right. Pause immediately before saying anything to the victim. Pause and adjust yourself. Because as I said, if you had the ability to do the wrong, you still have the ability to go and correct your wrongs, right? And understand exactly what you did. Face the consequences. Don't shy away from it, and use your power for the good, and don't expect forgiveness, because remember that victim is already hurt. Don't expect forgiveness, because pain has to be processed. Generally a man, when you speak to a man, he actually moves with his reflexes are more, I would say, more violent. When you tell a man something, if you have to offend a man, they say that when you bruise a man's ego, you can turn him into a warrior, you can turn him into a killer. Okay, so you can actually use that for the better good. You can make right with yourself. You can bring about change. So a man goes with anger and a woman goes with the emotions. When you tell a woman something, she has to process pain, because sometimes a woman goes into isolation in order for her to process pain. So allow the victim to process pain. And when she's ready, she will come to you. So you don't have to further intimidate her. You don't have to further harass her. You can make right, and be the better person moving forward.
Yeah. Off air, we tend to talk. You talk to me, chat about cases, what you are assisting, what has happened. And a lot of our listeners out there, as I mentioned earlier, they think, no, this doesn't happen in my school. It's not my community. It's not my race. It's not my culture. But it's happening with everyone. It's just like, cancer or sickness or theft. It can happen to anyone. So can you tell us one or two cases, which were so touching recently, what you have been assisting?
Okay, so we had an incident in one of the primary schools, and I was down in court and I was taking out a monitoring order for an elderly person. And Chatsworth Court, it was the first time in the history of Chatsworth Court that they had issued out a monitoring order. And what actually happened is that I had met a victim there at the court, and she was with a young teenager, and this teenager had run away from home. So this mother was obtaining a protection order. However, during the court break, I had a brief encounter. I'm a people's person. You leave me in a room, I can be friends with everybody, So I managed to engage with her, and as I was engaging with the rest of the people that were waiting for the courts to open after the break. So she saw my name tag and she asked me, so tell me, are you linked up with a certain school? And I said, yes, I am. And she said to me, my kids are in the school. So suddenly there was a red flag. And so I asked her, what are you here for? And she said she's taking out a protection order for her husband, because he's actually the stepfather of the children. Immediately, I assisted her with the protection order, but when I got home, I contacted the school and I requested the attendance report and I requested the school performance report. The headmaster did not give it to me. However, after much pressure and I put in a letter with the school, within 24 hours, I got all the documents that I needed. And then I found out that according to the educators, that these kids complained to the educators that these kids were handled sexually. However, the mother eventually, after obtaining the protection order, she had taken the kids back home, because when her husband assaulted her, she was gone to a mother's house. And then thereafter, she violated the protection order, because remember, the protection order stipulates that you need to be 100 meters away from the perpetrator. But however, she went back home with the children. This was in December, a week before Christmas. And then it had come to my attention that she was gone home. And then she made a call to me after she was abused that night. Her husband abused her so violently, and he hid a protection order. He used his court order to have her arrested. However, I called 10111 and I asked them to fetch me, to take me to the residence, because I didn't want to go with my car because it was a volatile environment. However, 10111 transferred the call directly to the officer that was making the arrest. And then I spoke to the officer and I said to him, listen, I want the kids removed out of the property immediately. If you do not remove the kids out of the property, I'll bring a civil suit against Bayview Station. So the officer asked me why. I said, because these kids are being sexually molested by their stepdad. And if you're making the arrest, don't leave the kids there. However, SAPS had taken the kids. At 1 o'clock in the morning, SAPS asked me to come down to the station. I had gone down to the station with all the evidence of the kids being molested. I sat down, I spoke to the officer, and I said, listen, the mother is being abused because she has knowledge of the kids being abused, and these learners are in primary school. So the officer looked at me and he said to me, ma'am, what do you want me to do? He said to me, she's now locked up and, she's in the cell. What do you want me to do? However, I said to him, officer, please do your job and have her arrested. I had the mother arrested. The mother was arrested. She spent 7 days in Westport prison. She's out now. The kids are now put into foster care with the granny. The matter has gone to court. So that's just one incident. Then we have another incident whereby we've got children that are going in a lift club, and this report has come to me now that the driver that is transporting the kids is now sexually molesting the learners, and the parents don't want to place charge because the parents are living are practically having an issue with poverty, so they are actually overlooking it. It's an insight. So they have come to me now to take over that matter. So we're dealing with a high volume of cases with sexual harassment and child molestation with kids in primary school.
Yeah. If you are a parent or just a principal or an educator, you got your reputation you're worried about, you don't want anyone to know, but they need help and they want help. How can they go about doing it? Because a lot of people don't want to publicize, what has happened or what is happening. What advice do you have for them?
Sumaya, a lot of teachers don't want to divulge any information, or they're afraid of being, victimized and a whole lot of stuff. I was dealing with one of the school headmasters. Yeah. And I contacted her regarding a sexual violation matter, and she eventually tried to get out of it. She tried to shy away from it. It was too late because I called her and I told her, SAPS is coming to see you, because I had given your details to SAPS. So the educators are put in a predicament whereby they do not want to face a backlash. But they can do it very, very discreetly. There's a lot of ways that they can handle the matter, whereby, they can fill out a form, like a Google form. They can also get onto Google. They use one of the Google apps. They can the schools can create a Google app, or maybe they can have a WhatsApp group, a reporting group, or a help desk, or even a call center or an info desk, whereby your identity is protected and discretion is maintained. So that's one of the ways. These are a few ways whereby you can be very discreet in handling this matter. And so, they can be reporting documents whereby, no information is disclosed. Mm-hmm. When I work with schools, I'm very, very discreet to protect the learner, the educators, and the teachers. Very, very discreet. So this is why the NGOs, NPOs, and the PBOs need to get involved and start working with the schools. And that's implemented in the National School Safety Act. It states that these schools need to work with them, and so we can bring much more relief and to these victims.
Yeah, today we are in times where empathy doesn't exist. Everyone is frowned on. People are going to depression. Suicide rate is so high. You are in this, you see it, you have seen victims who came out of this, who prospered. You've seen parents, educators who have grown with assistance or from experiencing this. What advice you have for the educators, especially educators in the government sector, where there's no counselors, there's not much support, large numbers, you are pushing curriculum, you can't do anything after hours because learners have to go home, their malumis, their taxis, their transports are waiting. What advice do you have for our tiring, especially government educators out there?
Sumaya, I was speaking to another headmaster and I was speaking to her regarding some of the programs that need to be run at school. I submitted a 13-page proposal with the Department of Labor regarding sexual harassment and how to combat sexual harassment in the workplace, because CCMA showed an increase in 2020 regarding sexual harassment, So when I spoke to some of the headmasters and with some of the schools in the surrounding areas, and I was speaking to them regarding, putting protocols and procedures in place and how, the educators can benefit from the program, because obviously they are very, very stressed out, as I said, pushing curriculum, working with school issues, being responsible for the kids. It's actually quite a bit on the educators. It's a lot of frustration. It's a lot of tension and stress on the educators. So I think there should be more support groups for the educators, for them to handle issues, how they can, find solutions to these issues. And then also, get the parents involved. Get the parents involved in the school. As I said, the PTA, the Parents and the Teachers Association, form that. Get organizations involved. Don't exclude organizations, because you can, with such an increase of gender-based violence, you cannot afford to work solo.
Yeah.
You need other organizations to assist you. So you take off the responsibility. You take off a lot of responsibility from the educators.
Sister Lorraine, your parting words to just everyone out there, especially if you are in South Africa, whether you're an educator, parent, listener, learner, anyone out there with all that's going on.
I would say with everything that is going on with harassment and, gender-based violence, and, it's important to, find solutions to your problems. There's a lot of government organizations that can, that's out there whereby you do not have to pay for these services. I refer a lot of victims to the Department of Social Development, because we are registered with them. You can go in for wellness treatment, for mental wellness counseling. You can speak to social development. They can refer you to the welfare department. There's a lot of programs that are put in place whereby you can reach out and seek help. If you're a victim of GBV, and if you're a victim of harassment, there are harassment orders, there are protocols and procedures that you can follow. There's the victim-friendly room at SAPS. You can actually get a domestic violence document filled out. There's a whole lot of stuff out there. People are not educating themselves when it comes to, the relief that they can get.
Yeah. Sister Lorraine, I'd like to thank you for linking up with us, imparting your knowledge, advising us, ensuring that you are doing your bit to assist our listeners out there. There could even be a child, a learner who's experiencing this. Once again, thank you, and may the Almighty continue to give you the strength and bless you for all that you do.
Thank you, Sumaya. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Listeners, that was Sister Lorraine Algasen, advocate for gender-based violence. This is so important and so vital. It's a topic that many of us shun upon, and we don't want to attack it, but we should. I'd also like to thank our tech, Zach, for making this show possible. My email address is sumayakhan.alansar@outlook.com. Gender-based violence anywhere is a threat to peace and security everywhere. Together we can help both men and women stand up for their rights and then become the best version of themselves for tomorrow. The seeds of success in every nation on earth are best planted in women and children. Assalamu alaikum.
Radio Al-Ansar, Durban, South Africa.
An informative